Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the G-Force Grand National Series in the ARCA cars. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Anthony McCurry. And Anthony, it's open queue time, as the car that's going to be on track first is going to be, believe, Jeff Green in the 2 machine.
Yeah, he's going to go out on track in what I believe is probably the most interesting looking car on the field. He's going to have to come to a complete stop at the end. I don't know why he did that, but anyway, he is gone back to pit road. But yeah, my name is Anthony McCurry. We're alongside Sam Dyer. And Sam, this is going to be a bit interesting. We don't normally do qualifying sessions for these broadcasts, but this is going to be fun. We get to see what these drivers get to do before the race starts. Throughout practice, it seemed like a lot of drivers were having some struggle through the turns, not being able to hold on to it very well, trying to get corner exit. But some of these drivers have been able to do very well, so we'll have to see if they can hold that through qualifying, what the race holds for these drivers. But we're at the legacy version of Charlotte, so it's a little bit different than the current version. That could come into play as well.
Yeah, the legacy version is a lot bumpier for these drivers, and it's going to be hot and slick on this track. With these ARCA cars, they're going to be really slipping and trying to find grip anywhere on this course, as we're waiting to see who's going to be the first driver to go out on qualifying. Now, qualifying is going to be exactly like it was last week at Nashville. For the people that don't know, the drivers had a practice session for about 2 hours. During that practice session, the car that was the fastest, and we're actually going to invert the whole entire practice session, and the car that was the fastest will be the last car to qualify, while the slowest car, or the driver that didn't even put a practice lap down, will qualify first. So as we're waiting for drivers to be lined up and getting ready to go, Anthony, a little bit of a talk about how last week went. Blaine Atkin, who is here in the 05, looked like the car that was going to get a win last week, spun out on the entry, coming out of 4, starting the white flag. And then we got to see Jacob Putman steal the win at Nashville, a very surprising win. But here today, it's looking a little different for these drivers. Instead of a short track of a little bit less than a mile at Nashville, we're now going to be at the 1.5 mile track at Charlotte, a lot faster, and it's going to be real interesting to see how these drivers react to this track.
Yeah, 1.5 mile D shape versus what could be considered a slightly longer version of Bristol at Nashville. We're going to go into it's a much different world for these drivers having to qualify in these cars at this track. A lot of drivers don't have experience driving this type of car. They're used to the more modern stock cars, or even some of these drivers were in the 87 series, so a little bit more of an older style stock car. But we got these drivers lining up at the pit road. We got 4 of them kind of parading down pit road. I believe the 9 car is leading them. That would be Robert Hodges, who is now coming out on track to put a lap down. So those drivers in question that will put down a lap first. Hodges on track at the moment. Got the 27 lined up down there as I'm looking at my relative. That's James Roth. So that's kind of what we're going to see tonight. We're going to see these drivers, like we saw last week, come out in quick succession and going to get this qualifying done, and we'll have to see how they stack up for the race. But Sam, having this kind of qualifying happen, we don't normally get to see this. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't normally get to see this kind of qualifying happen where they all go out in sequence. We all get to watch them do it, and they can visually see what the other drivers are doing. But Hodge is about ready to put down his first time lap. What do you think? What are we going to see out of the 9?
Robert Hodges is kind of notorious for being a driver on the back half of the grid, so I'm imagining he'll probably be around 15th to 20th place here during qualifying. But Robert Hodges is going to be trying to put down a quick lap time, going to be on the high side there, scrubbing the wall a little bit, and that's just due to a bad entry coming across the line here for the 9 car. This is going to be lap number 1, and going to be a 31, I believe, but with hitting the wall and scrubbing it, I think that might negate that lap time.
Yeah, I think that it is going to negate that. He's not going to be able to get a lap time in. I think it was disqualified. So you only get 1 lap. You get the warm-up lap on the way out, and then you have 1 lap to really show what you can do. And I don't think Hodges is going to have that lap counted, so that's been unfortunate for the 9. The driver that's coming out now is the 00. That's going to be Jason Hounshell. Now we're going to see what this 00 can do. So he can really only do better than Hodges at the moment. So we're almost guaranteed if he keeps it clean, he's going to have a lap time put in, as We're going to see if he can indeed do so. Where does that put him for the later run? We really don't know. We have about 26 more cars to go before we really see who the pole sitter or even anybody in the top 5 is going to be. But so far, looking pretty good for the 00.
Yeah, Jason Houndshell, brother to Jake Houndshell, who we saw Jake Houndshell putting on some wicked times back in the 87 series before this started up, as Jason across the line should be giving him the pole, and does with a 30.72.
So provisional pole for Houndshell. That's the bar, 30.7. We'll have to see if these other drivers can do that. Now, another driver that we were looking at earlier is going to be James Roth. He's coming out on track at the moment. He was one of the first to line up. So Roth is going to put in a lap down. So right now, mark to beat 30.7. Do you think he could do that?
James Roth is actually going to be an interesting driver. I believe this is going to be his debut race for this 27 machine. So expecting, really not sure what we're going to be seeing from this driver, as James is going to be coming across the line, starting his qualifying lap now. And, you know, a lot of drivers going to be shifting and trying to get their car set up and to see where they're going to be running here, as another cluster of cars getting ready for their runs. But coming at it too, this 27 machine looking pretty quick at the moment.
He is. He's going down into turn 3, looking pretty good. I like the way he's arcing into the turns. He might have a pretty good run, tracking out to about the middle of the racetrack, coming out of 4. What's it going to be at the line for the 27? Does he take provisional pole? No, he doesn't.
30 off.
Wow, 30.9. So almost. He almost was there, but right now still is going to be Houndshell or Jason Houndshell sitting at the top of the field. Next up on line is going to be the 55. That's going to be AJ DeMarzo, who is going to be putting in a lap, and have to see what that very colorful number 5 can do, as he's going to come out for his warm up.
Yeah, running the 5 machine on our ticker is going to be known as the 55 for AJ here, as coming around corner number 4, getting set up here. But Anthony, only 3 drivers. Now our 4th driver on track. I mean, we're starting to see it. It's really about how you enter these corners, on how well your exit's going to be. And these drivers try to maximize as much speed as possible. But it might be, I was talking to some of the PRM guys of Gerald Campbell, Tyler Riggs, and they were talking about how they were trying to figure out, do they want to run directly on the white line, or if they want to run a little slightly above it. Like we're seeing here, AJ running a little bit off, and then once it gets to apex, just ducks it to that white line, coming across the line now. We'll see where this 5 car gets placed.
Oh, wow, he's in the 31, so a little bit outside the 30s, the 31.1. Not good enough for the 55 on our monitor, but the 5 on the track. So a little bit more to get done for AJ DeMarzo. Another thing we should note, these drivers are running fixed setup. These aren't drivers that can have an open setup. So whatever is the car's setup is what you're stuck with. So it's really down to what the drivers can do with what they're given. And we've seen so far that only one driver's been able to make it work for him to his benefit. So we've had 4 drivers go out, the next 4 starts. Houndshell is still your provisional pole sitter. The 88 car of Kyle Johnson now on track.
Yeah, Kyle Johnson, a driver that at the 1.5 miles has actually done pretty well. Last time we saw him was last week at Nashville. Didn't have the showing that he was hoping for. And we also saw Kyle back in the 87 series for the G-Force Hijinks Clothing Company, and ran very well at the 1.5 miles. So was up in the top 5 most of the time, and we'll see where Kyle finishes out this race. Last week finished in 23rd place, not where he wanted to be, but here down the backstretch, 88 car is looking decently quick at the moment.
He's looking pretty good through 3, running a much lower line than some of these other drivers are doing, kind of getting down to that inside line, letting it ride out of the turns. What is the time going to be for the 88 of Johnson? Crosses the line, and he is now your new pole sitter. The 88 has put in a 30.6, so that puts him on provisional pole at the moment, knocking Jason Houndshell down a spot, knocking everyone down 1 spot. So pretty fast lap. That's the new bar, though. That's what all these drivers have to aim for if they want to start in the front row. We have a lot of names coming up that could potentially do that. You think down here like Dallas Mahan, Jeff Green, Blaine Atkin, The fastest in practice was, I believe, looking through, I think it was John Whitendorf, I think was the fastest. I might be wrong on that. I have to go back. But right now on track, it's going to be Seth Harrelson in the 07.
Yeah, Seth Harrelson's going to be trying to put a quick time here as continue to watch Seth cross the line. It's going to be...
This is outlap.
That was his outlap right there?
Yeah, this is outlap.
Well, now we're going to see where Seth goes with this one. Seth Harrelson, another driver that is notoriously known as a very quick mile-and-a-half racer. Expecting to see the 07 have a quick time here, going through 3 and 4, a lot higher than what we've been seeing a lot of other drivers. It's an interesting line through 3 and 4. We'll see if it really translates here. It's across the line. Fourth.
Ugh, that's a 31.14, so he does beat out DeMarzo barely. He got a 31.149. DeMarzo's was a 31.178, so barely beats the 5 machine. And it's really now just a cat and mouse game. These drivers are all within still. They're all within about, I'd say, give them 0.6 between everybody. So still close between these drivers at the moment. And I want to correct myself. It was Hank Steinmiller who had the fastest time during practice, so he will most likely be the last one out. Now we've had 6 drivers qualify. Robert Hedges never really put in a lap as it was DQ'd. No one's lined up, though. I'm not seeing anybody on our relative here that is on
looks
track.
like it's going to be Randy Koken in the 19 machine. Going to be out on track at the moment for the out lap and coming out of turn number 4 to start this lap. And, Anthony, it's going to be interesting. Like we said, it's inverted based off of practice speed. So these drivers are just going to get faster and faster the longer we go on. 28 drivers going to be putting laps down as Randy Koken now coming out of 2. I'm watching the drivers on their speed coming out of the corner. When I saw Kyle Johnson, he was running about 181 miles per hour into corner number 3. Randy Koken's doing the same thing, but running higher than where the 88 car. Will he carry the speed coming across the line here?
He might. He's got a pretty good exit. What does he get? It's only going to get him 3rd place. So Koken with a 30.17. Actually a little bit better than what it initially was, so it might have reset itself. But that is good enough to get him into 3rd place at the moment. Pretty fast lap. We're seeing these lap times consistently get a bit faster, so I have to see what these other drivers can do. But a very good run for Koken, as he really did need something good to come out of that. And now we just wait for another driver to come back out on track, as Koken has gone another lap. He's actually improved now. Why did he run a 2nd lap?
I don't know if he was really allowed to run that 2nd lap. That might be challenged re-looking at this. But yeah, that is confusing to see why Randy Koken was able to run another lap. We'll talk to the admins to get what happened there. But Bo Brady now going to be running on track.
So Bo Brady now comes out on track in the 20 machine. I'll have to see what the stand on Koken's time is going to be at the end of this this qualifying session. But Bo Brady in the 20 looking to get a fast lap in here tonight. This being the 2nd race of the season, Nashville kind of came down to a lot of drivers going into survival mode. This race looking to maybe have potential to be the same, as we're now amping the speed up quite a bit, as Nashville was a smaller, much slower track in comparison to this one. So these drivers are going to have to learn how to fight their machines around here. A lot of these drivers may not even be comfortable with the setup that they're given, because being that it is the fix series, that they might not be incredibly comfortable with the way their car handles. But right now, Brady doing the most of what he can with this car, going down into turn 3, carrying the speed on the inside line, trying to run the inside like we've seen a number of drivers do beforehand, arcs it out, going to the line. This looks promising. What can the 20 get out of this one? 30.9.
4th on the board.
And that is going to be pretty good for Brady if he can indeed hold that spot. I think that maybe... Okay, no, he only did 1 lap, so there is some shenanigan going on earlier. But we'll come back to that. I'm sure it'll be corrected before the race start. But
yeah, we're messaging and trying to get a clarification on the Randy Koken lap, as he would have been back in around, I believe he would have been beat there by Bo Brady and would have been pushed into 5th place. But a lot of, like you said, shenanigans going on for a second, but we're going to be trying to figure it out. As on the track now is going to be Ernest King in that 24 machine, as he'll be setting up this out lap. I do want to give a shout out to some of the sponsors that help bring out some of the best podcasts out there in the podcast world. That's going to be the Juice Box podcast, whether it's pop culture or sad boy blogs or just wacky hypothetical situations. The guys are out there wheeling in West Virginia, having you covered, and you can find them all on social media outlet at Juicebox Pod and all places where you can find podcasts that are found. Thanks, Juicebox Podcast, for sponsoring and helping this league out. As Ernest King coming across the line here, going to be placing himself 8th.
All right, that was a really slow lap in comparison, though, as he will get over Hodges, but that's going to be in 8th place at the moment for Ernest King. And I want to say that is the first time that I've ever heard the term Sad Boy Podcast. I'm not really sure what that is.
It's a Sad Boy blog. It's one of the episodes that the Juicebox does. And if you want to learn more about the Juice on a Juicebox podcast, those Sad Boy vlogs are going to be around, believe that's their Wednesday night time when they do their Sad Boy blogs.
I'm gonna have to figure what that is. I hope they're on Spotify, because that is the my podcast distributor of choices. Podcast yours might be Apple Music or wherever your podcasts are at. So a big thanks to them for sponsoring. On track right now is Nick Radar in the 29, a beautiful throwback Pepsi livery. I'm not really sure why Pepsi doesn't try to put this livery on a car now, because this looks absolutely beautiful. But we're getting down into the nitty gritty. We're about coming into, this will be the 10th time put down. We still got a long way to go, so stay tuned. This qualifying session is not over yet, but Radar looking to put down a fast lap coming out of turn 4. What can he do on his qualifying run? A 30.9. That's going to get him 6th.
6th place is where we'll find him at that moment, and a solid lap time for Radar. Wasn't able to beat out anyone just yet, but still a very solid time for himself, as we're waiting for the next car to go up on track. That's going to be Shane Lake in the 81 machine.
Shane Lake coming out. I didn't mean to cut you off there, and sometimes our platform kind of falls behind a bit, and it gets tough. Doing this is really interesting for us in the booth. It's kind of a fight with the powers that be in the tech world. But Shane Lake in the 81 in the AEW scheme, got a good preview of that scheme earlier on tonight, and it's one of the nicest looking schemes on the track at the moment, next to that Pepsi scheme that went out earlier on the day. But coming through the the only warm-up lap he gets is more like a more or less just to get on the track and get your tires warmed up slightly, as these drivers kind of go out with a little bit colder rubber. But I noticed that he's running a middle line that a lot of drivers have. A lot of drivers have run a inside line. Not a whole lot of drivers has tried the outside line yet, but he is running pretty high up on the middle of the track. So no one's really daring to do that yet. We'll have to see if anyone tries it, but going to the line, what can Lake do? It's going to be a 31.014. That's going to get him 7th right now if this qualifying was to end now, but got a long way to go. So might see Lake fall down the order even more.
Yeah, and with the track temp evolving for sure for these drivers, the sun's just being on it. So it could be that some of these drivers in the early stages had an advantage with the fact that the track wasn't as hot as it was earlier. Now we're going to be seeing brother of Jason Houndshell. You've got Jake Houndshell, the driver that got 2nd place last week, and trying to do his best to carry that momentum forward here at Charlotte. A 0-2 machine, I'm expecting it to be close to the top of the board, if not first, maybe even 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, a little bit of sibling rivalry going on right now. Jason Houndshell still finding himself sitting 3rd place. That might change if Jake puts in a faster lap. Coming out of turn 4, this will be the end of his warm-up. So now it will be all send for the 0-2. Houndshell is one of those drivers that I've observed in other series, and I've liked his driving style, and he's really carried it over nicely into these cars. We'll have to see if he can continue the momentum. This is only race 2 of a short season, but still it's going into, I believe, February is going to be the last race for these guys. So still pretty long way to go for these drivers, only being race 2, but out of turn 4, what can Jake Houndshell do as he goes right up against the outside wall on the exit? He's going to carry a lot of momentum at the line. 30.665 does not get the pole. He was only about a 10th off of what he could have. I'm sorry, 100 off of what he was going to get. But man, that was close for Houndshell.
Yeah, it was going to be 300ths off of that time. As you see it on our board, top 3, they are close, all within a thousandth of one another. As we're waiting to see what is the next group that is setting up to come out on track. I believe that's going to be Joseph Kazi and others in the 8 machine. And Kazi is just waiting for his name to be called. Nope, I take that back. Dallas Myhand is going to be the driver that's going to be getting on track here. As you said, we're just clocking these drivers down. 12 drivers down out of 28. We're getting close to the end of qualifying here soon. And you might be wondering, what's that timer on your top left? Well, that's the timer left in qualifying for these drivers. So everyone is trying to get through this as quick as possible. As we're trying to get this thing done as quick as possible. We haven't even really gotten to halfway yet, as we're almost to 30 minutes into qualifying. It's going to be close there at the end for these drivers, as Dallas Myhan has started up his lap.
Yeah, he's going through turns 1 and 2 at the moment. Running the inside line. Again, a lot of drivers favoring that inside line. As we said, no one really trying to do the outside line yet. I wouldn't imagine that's the fastest way around this version of Charlotte. So coming out, he's going to arc it out, though. He's riding up very much like Jake Houndshell did a lap before him. So what can Myhan get out of this one? Crosses the line. It's going to be a 30.936. I'm sorry, a 30.886. That's going to put him 5th on the board. So still, right now, Kyle Johnson holds on to the provisional pole. That's incredible. He was one of our first drivers to go out, and he's been able to hold off the entourage so far, but he's got a long way to go. I don't know if that 88 will stay up there for the rest of the session, but definitely putting in a name for himself at the moment.
Yeah, I think the rest of this field is kind of waiting for the track to probably cool off. Maybe see a cloud cover come over whenever they go out on track. And hope that this track starts to cool off, as Anthony Guarneri going to be on course. Finished 4th last week at Nashville. Going to be aiming for a better finish and possibly get on the podium. As for the 16 machine, as starting up his lap now.
Yeah, he's going to try and carry the momentum that he had coming out of Nashville into this race. And this race isn't going to be a short one for these drivers either. It's a 100-lap race going into tonight. So, you know, they're setting these cars up for a long run. So this setup, I believe, is similar to the one they'll be running throughout the race. So these lap times are going to carry over to the actual race. So if you're good in this one, then you might very well be good in the other one. And coming out turn 4, didn't run very high up on the racetrack, crosses the line. That's a 30.5. He's going to be their new pole sitter in the 16.
Smooth, looks faster than loose, it looks like, as Anthony Guarneri, top of the board, just like that. Impressive time by the 16 machine. We'll see if Joseph Kazi and this 8 machine can try to knock down the 16 of Anthony Guarneri, but a very solid lap time for that 16 car.
Very solid. That's going to be almost an entire 10th quicker than the 88. So these lap times going to get faster and faster and faster. Now, I wonder if we're going to dip down to the 29s. I'm sure that some of these drivers have gotten close, especially in practice. We've seen these drivers get close to the 29s. I believe the fastest that we saw was a 30.1. So a lot of time to be made up on this racetrack. Kazi going to look for a line that can get him around the track the fastest. He's going around turn 2 at the moment, coming down the back straightaway. That car looked like it had a little bobble coming out of turn 2, and that's what you mentioned earlier with Guarneri's time. Smooth is better than loose, and if these drivers even have a little bit of a twitch going through these turns, it can kill a lot of momentum. So I think that these drivers are more or less just aiming to keep the car planted, cross the line, 30.623. That's going to put him 2nd place on the board.
Yeah, we're starting to see the difference of drivers that are feeling a lot more comfortable with this track, even with the bumps, with this legacy course. They're willing to go. Now it's going to be Rocky Boyd in that 77 machine. Rocky Boyd is very fast at these tracks and always is a quick machine. The question is, how aggressive will we be seeing Rocky Boyd on track, as he's been kind of notorious to be willing to use his bumper to get cars out of the way. But here, I'm expecting Rocky Boyd, just like how I said Jake Hounshell, someone to be close on top of the board. The 77 car, another driver to watch out for, as he's trying to run that high groove, carry as much momentum as possible down this front stretch, starting this qualifying time.
And I noticed that he did something that none of these drivers before him have done, is he actually shook his car going down the back stretch, trying to get heat into the tires. And that's something that we've been seeing the opposite with the track temps the way they are. We're seeing drivers just kind of running straight, not wanting to put any more heat in the tires. But he's obviously got a different idea, and running the high line through his outlap, trying to get the momentum out of turn 4. I believe he's going to have a pretty good go at this pole position. Coming out of 4, what's the lap time going to look like for the 77 across the line? A 30.618, not quick enough to get not even the top 3. He's going to find himself in 4th place. So good time, just you got to think that maybe he wanted a little bit more out of that one.
Well, you talked about colorful cars before. This is going to be another one. Christopher Morris Jr. looking like he'll be getting set up to go here. As I take that back, Jeff Green is the one that's getting on track in this 2 machine, who we thought was going to be going first. He had a backtrack, was called back because this is his time now. Going to be our 17th driver on course. And Anthony, it's going to be interesting to see what Jeff Green can do here. In a very interesting livery that he really hasn't been running at any of the series, but still rocking that C2.
Yeah, still having this team out on the track. It looks like a jumbled mess, but honestly, I think this is really cool. Like the way that it kind of blends together and forms a kind of an art car, if you will, if you're familiar with the some endurance series that run art cars. But coming through turn 3 at the moment. Now, Jeff Green is a former National Series champion, so you think that he might know his way around these cars. We're going to see what kind of lap time he can put in here out of turn 4. Down to the front stretch, across the line, a 30.624. That's going to put him, that's going to steal Boyd's time away, so that's going to put him 4th place. So move Jeff Green up into the top 5. So that's a pretty solid qualifying lap, if I do say so myself.
Very solid. Now Christopher Morris Jr. is going to be out on track. Anthony, looking at these times these drivers have been putting down, our top 7 all within a tenth of one another. I mean, with how quick and how close everyone has been, you just know the racing action for this 100-lap race is going to get intense. These drivers are going to be right on top of one another. And the real question is, who's going to have the best time? Jeff Green actually ran his 2nd lap. Going to be moving himself up to the pole position. So we'll see. I mean, we talked about the fact that Randy Koken was going to be questionable. Also, Jeff Green now going to be questionable with putting his 2nd lap time down, but we stay on board with Christopher Morris Jr.
Yeah, I'm not so sure why a lot of these drivers are only running. Oh, my goodness. I don't know if you saw that. The 3 got way loose coming out of turn 2. He held on to it, though, didn't touch the wall, so this lap will count if he can get around. That was incredible. Good hands by the 3. Good hands by Morris. He was able to hold on to it, but out of 4, looking much more comfortable coming out. That's going to hurt his time. It is going to hurt his time. A 31.3. It's going to put him all the way back into 17th. You got to think if he had kept it going the right direction, he would have been able to put himself probably in the top 5 with the way he was running. But good hands, able to get a time in nonetheless, even though that he's going to be back in 17th. But still, fantastic run.
And now we're going to see John Whitendorf going to be out on track in the 33 machine, and going to be seeing how this car can be trying to best. As right now, like we said, Jeff Green going to be on top of the board on his 2nd run. His 1st run put him 4th on the board. So we'll see how things adjust here with admin calls. But at the moment, John Whitendorf going to be trying to run this low line. And gets loose. There goes the 33 machine, looping it around and going to graze the wall, scrubbing off that time. And just like that, John Whitendorf's times is done. And that's just pushing it to the limit and really not having a chance.
Yeah, seeing what these lap times are looking like for some of these drivers, they're going to try and go out on a limb and get everything that they possibly can. That's the first time we've seen someone loop around during this qualifying session. So I don't know if that's a precursor to things to come, but we also saw Morse almost lose it out of that same turn, so there might be some more heat going down there. The sun's been baking in turn 2 for pretty much the last few minutes. I'd say for about an hour before that. It was even doing that in practice, so we've carried straight over to that. So I'd say that turn 2 is really loose at the moment. On the track is going to be Tyler Riggs trying to get a good run in the 26. That was his outlap. Does he dare take some more speed going through turn 2?
He's going to be running low similarly as Tyler Riggs. We'll see if he shimmy and shakes off the corner, stays stable, and has a chance here with this lap time. Looking quick, but I don't think he's quick enough. Slower on the backstretch. Usually all these fast guys have been running about 182 to 183 into 3. Was not able to. Tyler Riggs crossed the line. Should be middle of the pack.
Yep, 30.5. Actually, that was a pretty good time. It's going to put him on the pole.
Showing that really that backstretch might not be where all the speed is. It might be through 3 and 4. Tyler Riggs, top of the board. I was very wrong on that.
Holy cow, you said middle of the field, and I looked down, and my brain was like, oh yeah, 30.5, that's middle of the field. And I was like, no, that's the pole position. That was a fantastic run, and you were right. I think a lot of these drivers are figuring out that you can make up time in the second half of the lap, so we're going to see a lot of these drivers maybe try and push in the second half rather than the first half. That being said, the first driver that's going to attempt to do that now after seeing that momentum is going to be Gerald Campbell in the 25. Through 1 and 2, holding it on the bottom of the racetrack, looking smooth, no bobble, a little bobble coming out of turn 2, down the back straightaway. What does he have going through 3 and 4?
Carried more speed than Tyler Riggs into this corner. Tyler Riggs, Gerald Campbell teammates, so we'll see if there's any notifications or helping each other out. I think there might have been a little bit of a bobble again for this 25. Cross the line. 30.5, top of the board again as they continue to do that. I think this is what we're about to be just seeing here, Anthony. Just each car topping one another.
30.5 flat for that driver, so that was amazing. That's another bar that's going to have to be met. I think the tire or the track temps are finally getting up to optimal for some of these drivers. That's good news for a lot of these drivers. They're coming out, and Blaine Atkin almost spins it on his outlap. He was getting onto the transition from the apron to the track and almost looped it around before his lap even got started. So that 5 car looking pretty loose. We're going to have to see what he can do through turn 4. Going to come out. First time lap, only time lap. It's going to be the 05. What can he do?
Now, Blaine Atkin, like we notified last week, looked like the driver that was going to win at Nashville for the opening race. Spun out, coming to the white flag, and giving a great position to Jacob Putman that stole that race away. Blaine Atkin finished back in 13th position, looking for redemption here at Charlotte. Looking pretty quick for the 05 machine, but he drifts up pretty high. I don't know if that's really the call that he wants. It looked like he drifted up a little bit too quick, but we'll see here across the line.
Across the line, what does he get? It's still a 30.5, but a 30.567. That's going to put him third place on the grid. So we are seeing these times get consistently faster. We're now well into the 30.5s. So I would assume that every driver coming up next is going to be gunning for each other, as we were wondering what if Jeff Green was going to be able to hold on to that pole position. That's not the case, and right now we're just waiting for our next driver, which I believe is going to be Tom Bourne in the 54 in that Z-Line scheme. That's a nice Z-Line scheme, I got to admit, in that Toyota right now, but coming out of turn 4, he's going to start his timed lap. Had a bit of a bobble that might kill a little bit of momentum, but we'll have to see, as we only have a handful of drivers to go. I believe we only have about 8 drivers to go in qualifying. I'm sorry, 7 to go.
We're waiting for the final 7. Tom Bourne has started his lap here. Getting out of 2, and he's going to go over corrected into the outside wall. And just like that, Tom Bourne's going to be starting at the end of the field with that damage. You hate to see that type of an end to this driver that was trying to qualify. And now we're going to be seeing Hank Steinmiller up on the track. As Tom Bourne, that was not the way he wanted this qualifying to go, but still 100 laps to try and recover from there, as Steinmiller now up on the track for this 63 machine.
A very nice looking scheme on the 63, a very simple scheme, if you will. I like the simple schemes. It kind of I don't know. I'm very much a minimalist. Whoa, there was a big bobble. He's going to actually crash it coming out of turn 4. That's the first time we've seen somebody bend it through turn 4. He's hit the wall quite a bit. That was on his out lap. This lap still might count. I don't know if he's going to get anything competitive out of this.
No, absolutely. There's going to be nothing competitive out of this lap. I mean, you scrubbed off so much time that you're trying to gain. And with this damage, you might just get loose and decides, I'm just going to dump it and not try to even take this course. I think that is best call for Steinmiller there, who will back to the pits. And we'll see if the admins decide. I mean, never really officially got to start his lap. Maybe Steinmiller will have another chance here, as looks like there's a little bit of talking going on between these drivers.
Yeah, no one's lined up to start another lap yet, so we're just waiting. We got 23 minutes left in the qualifying session, so plenty of time.
Yeah, we officially have 5 drivers that still need to run a time, as John Whitendorf and Tom Bourne, they did not place a time officially, but they have already ran their laps, as well as Hank Steinmiller. And also, Chad Williams is actually an admin, so that driver does not count either. So we're actually down to our final 3 drivers here.
Looks like Steinmiller is still a question. We're
staying on board with him, just in case. He reset his vehicle here.
No official word on the 63. This might be our last driver to go out, because he was the fastest in practice. Some of these drivers didn't even get onto the track for practice, so they might not be able to put a lap in here. They might have to start at the back of the pack by default. Steinmiller's still sitting here. Nothing's been made official yet. So we'll just have to wait and see what the admins decide the fate of the 63 is. He, like, to your point, he never really did put down a lap. He did cross the line, however, and I feel that might be enough to void the lap. We'll have to wait and find out. But right now, take a look at what your top 3 would look like. Jared Campbell right now with the pole position. Then it'd be Tyler Riggs and Blaine Atkin that would make up the top 3. Jeff Green, Anthony Graneri, and Joseph Kazi would make up the top 6. So that's right now still unofficial. We haven't gotten in word if Steinmiller will go back out. We're still waiting on that. But Sam, if this is going to be what the times are going to look like for the race, all these drivers are going to be pretty much under a blanket. This is going to be intense.
It really is. I mean, our top 4 under a tenth of one another, and then you go back from a 4th all the way back to around, 10th? They're within a tenth of one another again. Our top 11 within 2/10, so still within striking distance for a lot of these drivers at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers might also be able to do something, and that is the end. They've called it.
That is the end for our qualifying here, as we are getting set up for the Rich Mar Flores 150 here at Charlotte for the G-Force Grand National Series. I mean, Anthony, qualifying's done. You saw the fact that some drivers on the faster end of scale were getting extremely loose at times, as we do have drivers that are set in. We're going to see if they push this. We have one driver set for the heat lap, but that's going to be Jordan Owens in the 45 machine. I do not believe that we're actually going to be doing this heat lap for 10 laps. I think we're going to be just pushing it forward, but we're going to be waiting for questions here as drivers in still conversating.
Yeah, no official word been made on whether or not we're going to go here or not. It might just have him start at the back of the pack, because there's only 2 drivers that would be on track at the moment. So still getting official word, but want to get an opinion from you, Sam, as Jordan Owens has actually gone off track. We might be kicking this forward, but going forward, we've been talking about what the fuel run was going to be, and we've been talking with some of these drivers and some of these admins about what the fuel run looks like, and they've been saying that the fuel run is about 50-50 throughout the race, so you can make it to about lap 50 on fuel, which is what these drivers might aim for. But the tire wear, they've been saying, is going to be the deciding factor of whether or not you come down pit road multiple times. What is your opinion? Do you think the tires are going to be an issue here tonight, and do you think that if it comes down to it, are we going to see a fuel run? And if we have to see a fuel run, when do you pit? Do you pit early and try to stretch it on older tires, or do you try to stretch your fuel as far as you can and kind of half the race?
I mean, I would imagine this is going to be just a tire run for these drivers. It's all going to be about tires. When you come in for tires, do you want to do a one stop or two stop? It kind of matters on how aggressive you run here at the start. If you find yourself starting up front, really pulling away from the rest of the field early, and everyone else is kind of lingering back, that is the tall tale that everyone else is thinking long run while you're thinking short run, and you're going to burn those tires out instantly, and you're going to be then dropping back quickly as we now have our pace truck and just going to be pulling around here. We're waiting for the pace truck to be pulled in, and then we most likely will be forwarding to the featured race here. But as we're waiting for that race to start, we're going to do a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be for 100 laps here at the Richmar Florist 150, and we'll be right back after this.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The veterans of foreign wars. No one does more for.
And we're back, still waiting for the featured race to start, but we've got Shane Lake here with us. Shane, qualifying's done. Did that qualifying feel for you?
Well, just had a slight little bobble out in 1 and 2. That's the only reason the car ran high. Other than that, it felt like it was good. We got some pretty good race pace in this AEW Beechridge Barbershop Chevrolet, and I feel like it's just going to be one of those methodical races where everyone's fighting the same loose condition. It's just a matter of being able to control it and just keep the tires underneath you for the entire stint.
Yeah, we saw a lot of drivers go out and during practice and qualifying, their cars did not look very happy throughout this track. And it seems like the more the tires wear off, the more that they're going to have to deal with that. But I want to get your opinion on the track conditions right now, because we saw that there was a lot of drivers that went out, ran slower laps, kind of bobbled a little bit. There were some drivers that were completely calm and collected, but towards the end of the run, we saw the lap times progressively increase, and we saw some drivers that thought that they could carry speed because they'd been able to do it in practice. They could not do it throughout qualifying. Do you think the track conditions are going to play a big factor in tonight's race, and do you think the tire wear is going to be the deciding factor of whether or not people pit early or if they're going to try and stretch it on fuel?
Well, I think the tire is going to be a bigger factor in trying to stretch fuel. I mean, fuel is going to be not that big of an issue. It's going to be the tire wear, because you're going to be sliding around a lot on this track. So I got a feeling it's going to be one of those where whoever keeps the tires under them longer is going to have a better run at this race.
Well, that's Shane Lake in the 81 machine. Good luck here tonight, Shane.
You guys enjoy the show.
Well, Anthony, drivers are set, ready to go. We've got 28 drivers lined up here. Actually, we're going to have 27, as Chad Wilson will not be running, but front row, it's going to be PRM of Gerald Campbell and Tyler Riggs, as we're going to do a quick run through this grid. We're just going to have it running through. But Anthony, like you asked Shane there, I mean, tires and also weather, going to be interesting to see how they go through.
Yeah, this track right now has been baked with sun. It's not cloudy at all. And the only place that the track has got any bit of shade right now is where the billboards are through the turns. So that is going to be a factor that these drivers have to deal with all race long. 100 laps of Charlotte, not going to be a a quick race by any means or matters. As this, I mean, we're used to seeing this race at Charlotte be a 400 lap race in the Cup Series, but this is going to be about a 25% race. So that's still a long way to go for these drivers. Track conditions, as you can see already, turn 2 is baked at the moment. It is going to be very hot. We see a lot of drivers lose it through turn 2 during qualifying. Through practice, we saw a lot of drivers lose it through there. But we're going to have to see what happens. These fresh tires at the beginning of the race, they're going to be wicked fast. We're going to see which drivers can hold on for the longest, as we have a lot of drivers starting this race. 20, I believe we have 26. Yeah, 26.
Yeah, Jacob Putman, our Nashville winner, was not able to put a qualifying lap down, nor did he log back in during this gridding stage. So the one machine not looking like he's going to be here for this race, which is a shocker to see, because I don't think there's going to be a playoffs for this league. As the pace truck pulls off, Gerald Campbell, Tyler Riggs leading the way. Blaine Atkins, that 05, got to watch him out and see if he's going to be making a bold move here as he's trying to get on the inside of the 25 and the 26.
And green flag in the air. These drivers already trying to put their cars where they need to do it. Look at 3 wide, almost going for the lead of the race. The 05 of Atkin really wants to get going as they're bobbing and sliding already through turn 1 and 2. But coming out at turn 2, it looks like that a lot of drivers are just kind of finally in line, trying to figure out where they're going to go. Never mind that. Here comes the 8 to the inside of the 26 of Briggs, trying to put a move down through turn 3.
You've also got Grenari, and on the outside, that's going to be Rocky Boyd, who's going to be trying to make a move here quickly on the outside. Not going to be able to make the move just yet as Grenari still holds on the inside. Here comes Kyle Johnson trying to get by Rocky Boyd, but up front, Gerald Campbell trying to pull away from Blaine Atkin, but Atkin's starting to run him down as they're still side by side for 4th place.
Yeah, there are a lot of battles going on the racetrack right now. They're almost 3 wide back there. Battle for the lead. Campbell and Atkin. Atkin around the outside. Can he get the outside move done? Going through turn 3. Tries to get the launch in. The 05's got the speed. He's been able to make it stick. Give the lead to the 05 coming out of turn 4 on lap number 2, going to lap 3. And when that was a fantastic move. We were wondering if the outside line was going to come into play at all in this race, and I think that just proved that you can make it work, as that was one heck of a move around the outside. But now the 25 looks like he's going to be falling into the clutches of the 8 very soon. You've got a big battle going on 4th on back. It's going to be Rocky Boyd trying to hold on against Riggs and company, and right now they're battling side by side through turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, Riggs stuck on the high side as here comes Kyle Johnson on the inside. But the big thing about watching out for Blaine Atkin, I talked about it. The drivers that are going to try to pull away instantly, they're the ones. If we go green for a long stage here, it's going to hurt that 05 on the longer run, as he is pulling away almost over a half a second, as now they're side by side back here for 7th place, as it's going to be Bo Brady and also Grenari, who's dropping back quick.
Yeah, Grenari is falling off like a rock. He is not going the right direction. He's continuing to lose spots. Right now, he's lost one to that's going to be, he's actually behind these two, running the 16 car, running in the 9th place position. He's actually trying to close back up the gap. He's closing in on the 02. Battle in front of them. Looks like it's going to be Kyle Johnson and Tyler Riggs going side by side. And the 25 has been caught by Rocky Boyd, who's gotten around and gotten into 3rd place. Now gotten up to the 25. To the inside goes the 77. What can he get done? Whoa, he slid right up in front. That almost looked like there was going to be contact, but now here comes the 8 of Cossie trying to make a run. These drivers not content to run just by themselves. They want to get up to the front. Right now, the 25 is going the opposite direction. You got to think that there might be something wrong with that car, or he might be in tire saving mode at the moment. That might not be such a bad strategy.
I think that's exactly what we're seeing from the 26 and from the 25 from the Team PRM. They're going to be thinking about dropping back, but we're going to be dropping back now as they are almost 3 wide action back here for 14th place, as they are wild as Seth Harrelson up into the wall.
07 goes up into the wall. He's going to lose a lot of time. Right in front of Shane Lake, but Lake was able to get around it. We're still green. What a good save by the 07 of Harrelson. What a fantastic awareness by Shane Lake, able to avoid that. But we are still green.
Back up front for this battle for 4th place, where we're going to be seeing Causey as well as Kyle Johnson side by side, with going to be Gerald Campbell in front of them. Now Bo Brady thinking about sticking that nose of the 20 machine. Thinks otherwise of it. Jake Hounshaw going to be following suit, and Grenari's finally found his footing. He's starting to move back up front.
Do you think that maybe these guys are going to consider going 3 wide? I wouldn't doubt that, at least in the later stages of this race, they might consider it the 20 of Bo Brady, who's been on a tear at the moment. He's gotten all the way up to the 5th place position. Oh, he gets a little bit loose coming off of 2, but he's got it saved. He's going to try and go to the inside of that, I believe, is Kyle Johnson in front of him. They're side by side behind him between Kazi and Jay Cownshell. That's Jay Cownshell. And now the 25, I don't know how the 25 of Campbell's been able to hold on to 3rd place. There's a hornet's nest of drivers that want to get around it, but he's just kind of put his car where he needs to do it, daring them to pass him, trying to say, yeah, you want this position, you're going to have to take it from me. It's behind them. The 16 looked like he might have gone 3 wide, but now the 25 gets moved up to the high line.
Also want to talk about some of the drivers that started in the back and are moving their way forward. Tom Bourne, Jeff Green, they're now up to 14th and 15th when they started all the way back in the end of the field. A great run for themselves. Also the 3 of Christopher Morse Jr.
Whoa,
He's been making his way forward as well.
They're 4 wide on the front stretch. The 20 almost saved it, or almost spun around, but he did save it. There was some contact, but he was able to hold on to it, so now Bo Brady's going to fall back into a big hornet's nest of cars. That is not the run that he needed, but a good save on the part of the 20 team as they continue to battle a lot around this track. I don't feel very confident with the way that this track is, these drivers are racing right now. Something's going to break if nothing changes.
Yeah, it's from basically from 5th on back, are all in this hornet's nest that you were talking about. They're all clustered up, not able to really get any gap on anyone else. And a car that's starting to move back up front is going to be Gerald Campbell as well as Kyle Johnson. They're trying to catch up to Rocky Boyd and Blaine Atkin. But, I mean, this group of cars that are all stacked up on one another, one mistake could cost a lot of machines their day.
And we were talking about with how the lap times were looking throughout practice and qualifying, how they were very close together. I think you're seeing a byproduct of that. Look how close a lot of these drivers 3rd on back are running. You could basically put a blanket over them with the way they're running, and this is incredible. They're all, like we said at the top of the program, this is a fixed setup, so it's really just how these drivers are able to handle with the car that they're given. And right now we're seeing that a lot of these drivers are on par with each other, trying to outdo one another. The 26 looks like he was going to wash up the track just a little bit, or Morse went down into the 26, but man, they are, like I said, they have to hold on to this, because if they spin now, it's going to be tragic for the guys behind them.
Yeah, I mean, this is an onboard with Tom Bourne right now, and you just see there's really nowhere to go. You're kind of wadded up. There's a wall of cars and not enough space to be making a pass just yet for these drivers. But, man, Anthony, I mean, this has been wild to see, but I'm super impressed by the drivers that have been able to move up from starting back in last place with the 3, the 54, as well as the 2. They're now up in the middle of the field or even up in the top 10.
Yeah, the 2 right now in 14th at the moment. He's made up quite a bit of ground there. A lot of these drivers, like you said, have made their way up through the field, and to your point, this is a long race, and the fact that they've been able to move up this far, given the fact that we're still only on lap 15, got a long way to go. There's a long time for them to make up some positions. At the way that they're racing up in front of them, though, I have cautious optimism for some of these drivers, because once they get up there, they have to figure out a way to get around some of these drivers who are going 3 wide into turn number 3. Oh, guys, hold on to it, and it looks like they're going to do it. Jake Hounshaw was in the middle of the 3 and the 63, but man, that could have ended in disaster also. But Sam, the way these guys are racing, I'm very impressed. They've been able to keep this very clean, so respectful of each other. They're racing extremely loose, extremely fast. The track conditions are working against them, but somehow, some way, we're still green flag racing, and this is a spectacular show we're seeing out of these drivers.
The lead. Rocky Boyd has ran down Blaine Atkin. That's 77 cars right there. Yes, they were all wadded up, but this action up front, Rocky Boyd has really clawed his way back, almost 2 seconds back from the 0-5, and now he's right on the tailpipe, side by side into turn number 1.
And don't look now, but Kyle Johnson's coming in right behind these guys. But right now, the battle, the 77 washes up the racetrack just a little bit. That's going to allow the 05 to get the run out of turn 2. Here comes the 88 of Kyle Johnson. I think now we're seeing what happened. The tires have fallen off. Remember, we were talking about the 25 not really showing any pace at the beginning. He's now coming back up through the field. He saved his tires. These drivers that have kind of gotten out to the lead, like you said, they've used up their stuff. They need to hold on for dear life until the first round of pit stops. Now the 88 of Kyle Johnson's moved to second. Here comes Jared Campbell. He's going to run down these leaders soon.
Campbell's going to be less than a second away from third place, almost a less than a second from our leader as he continues to run it down. Our top three all in line as they're scattering all the way back in 8th place as those drivers still keeping it intense as our top three all on top of one another. You're going to blanket over them.
Yeah, it's incredible. The top three closed up so much in the last couple of laps, and somehow Blaine Atkin is still the leader, although Kyle Johnson is trying his hardest. Here comes Campbell. It's going to be about 4 drivers to the inside. Goes Johnson with a dive bomb into turn 1. Can he get the run to stick? I don't know if he's going to have to be able to have the momentum. The 05's going to have the momentum coming out of turn 2, so they're going to be battling down into turn 3 for this lead. It's continuing to be close for these drivers.
And this is exactly like what we were seeing in the 87 series. Drivers that went for saving tires, the longer the run went on, the better they did. Here comes back Gerald Campbell, our pole sitter, who is trying to claw his way back. He's on the back bumper of the 77 Bo Brady, but Kyle Johnson to the point possibly here as he's running strong on the inside.
Kyle Johnson trying to get to the point of the race. He's almost there. I saw something in the back. That was Campbell literally putting a bumper down and moving up Rocky Boy, trying to get them out of shape. And now, look at these two, side by side, 2 rows deep for the top 4. This is incredible racing, and we're only on lap 20 coming to lap 20. The 88 now leads the race. This is awesome, but I think that the advantage goes to the 25 still.
Yeah, we talked about him just dropping back in, waiting, and it was all about saving his tires for this moment for Gerald Campbell. You know, got to give credit to Blaine Atkin. He shows that he's got pace. The more so for moving on in this point is he has to stay in the top 5, stay in striking distance, and just try to save his tires on this next pit stop because he's only in save mode here. He's going to be losing positions because his tires are gone.
Here comes a run from Campbell. He's going to take the 2nd place position over Blaine Atkins. So the 25 now getting set his sights on Johnson. Now Atkins setting his sights back on Campbell. I think that Boyd might have used up his stuff already. He's kind of fallen off, kind of running around. But check out the pack coming up behind them. With them battling up at the front of the field, that's brought Chris Morse Jr. It's brought Joseph Kazi, Graneri, Houndshell, Riggs, Steinmiller, all these drivers that have been falling back. It looked like that they might have been done for. But now they've reeled it in within a second almost to some of these drivers. So it's going to be close. I don't think that this battle for the lead is over yet, and I would bet that one of these drivers running maybe lower in the top 10 might go for the lead. But speaking of the lead,
almost contact there as the 88 was trying to pinch the 25 there. Wasn't able to completely make contact there, but they're just trying to slow one another down. That's why Kyle Johnson was drifting so much on the inside as Campbell almost drifted up into the 88 as they're still side by side. This is hurting both their tires and really helping the cars in the back half.
Oh, really reminiscent of the finish between Harvick and
cars to the back. It's going to be multiple cars, the 33, 16, and others.
That's a huge wreck on the front straightaway as they're continuing to pile in.
Was involved as well as the 45.
Oh man, like I said, I thought something was gonna break, and something did, and this is gonna be huge. A lot of drivers that were gonna be fast drivers at the end of the race taken up in this wreck, but man, the fact that we went this long with them racing that close without anything happening, that was incredible driving. But man, again, heartbreak for a lot of these drivers who were involved.
And you're going to see it here. Canary running high. Hits the outside wall. Comes down into Steinmiller. Bourne was involved as well. Green makes contact. Whitendorf. Bo Brady somehow snuck through there. And I'm trying to figure out what happened to the 45 machine and got him spinning around. As Owens, I think he just stopped for green and made sure he didn't make contact. As we're going to take a different point of view of this wreck. I mean, somehow Tom Bourne survived and didn't get involved. I think that was probably the car that really surprised me the most, as he was right in the middle of all that action.
Jeff Green almost got away with that. He only just clipped somebody, and then the 45 came in and ran into him. So
Tom Bourne did not get through there cleanly. He did run into multiple cars there. Heavy front end damage for that 54 machine. But man, we're still taking different views of this wreck. Anthony, wild. I mean, we knew it was coming. We knew that there was something going to break.
It was just a driver getting a bit too high on the racetrack. He just misgauged where he was relative to the wall, and end up coming down. And like we alluded to, with them running so close together like that, it's almost like running at a super speedway when one guy spins, the rest are to follow. And the 45 of Jordan Owens almost made it through there. He ended up running into green. The 00, I think he made it through there.
I think so as well. We're going to take a view from his cockpit view of what happened to Jason Houndshell here. Jason really got a good view of what was going on in front of him, as well as the 55. This is just smoke piling, really not sure where cars are at, seeing where everyone is, and able to bob and weave his way through. Multiple cars had to go through the grass as well. And Anthony, we had multiple drivers coming into the pits while we were looking at that replay. I mean, this is a great time to make a pit stop, quarter of the way through. You've got 3 sets to work with. Might as well use one now.
And if we go on another long green flag run like we were just on, then that might translate into having to pull in some fuel strategy, because they can't make it to the end of the race at this stage of the race. So have to come down at least one more time for fuel alone. Tires is a different story. We've seen tires. We've had the conversation thrown out of, when do you come down and get tires? Are tires going to be what brings you to pit road in the first place? And right now, we don't really know, because we didn't really get onto a long run. The fuel window is to lap 50. We do know that much. They can at least go to lap 50, which would make this race be able to split in half. But because we had this yellow flag so early on in the race, not going to be a factor. But yeah, lap 26, pace lights are still on the pace truck. Sam, I don't know. What do you expect? The whole rhetoric is cautions breed cautions, but the way these drivers were racing earlier, I think that we might have another green flag run come in.
I mean, yeah, it looked like with fresh tires, these drivers are able to make the moves that they want to. Gurneri was one of the drivers that really pushed extremely hard on the start and really just fell off very quickly. I'm interested to see what the drivers up front. We've got a total of 5 cars that decided to stay out, being Gerald Campbell, Blaine Atkin, Joseph Causey, Tyler Riggs, and Robert Hedges going to be your top 5 that have not pitted yet. Everyone else did, with Jake Houndshell going with, believe, 2 tires, as well as Dallas Myhand, and as well for Nick Radar. Actually, I take that back. I think they might have just gone with, believe, fuel for those drivers. So we got a couple of drivers still on the old tires, deciding, hey, we want to save it just in case we start seeing a wreck fest later on in this race, as cars are stacking up. Pace truck lights are off, going this time by. But this is already a huge swing in difference compared to last week at Nashville that felt more like a destruction derby than it did us watching a racing event.
Yeah, this has been a much different type of event. I mean, 2 different types of tracks and 2 different, completely different setups. So I would almost expect that this race is going to go like this throughout the end of the race. We've been clean to this point. Stacking them back up, your top 2 are going to be Jared Campbell, Blaine Atkin. They did not pit, like Sam said. First driver that did pit was Jake Houndshell, although he only took fuel, it looks like. First driver that would have taken tires is going to be Kyle Johnson in the 88. We saw him running up the front of the field. Elected to come down and get tires. We'll have to see if that's really an advantage or not, because that was a big question. Are fresh tires better than older tires, and what really is the fall off? I think we're going to see that very soon. But take a look at Robert Hedges in the 9. He's up here. He didn't have a really good qualifying run at all. Green flag back in the air. Jared Campbell got a good jump over Atkins, so that's what he needed to have happen. And I think that everyone's gotten off okay. I say that, and the 9 almost goes up into Houndshell. That could have been disastrous.
As we're still seeing the cars scattering around back here around 5th place, where we're seeing the 9 car making it 3 wide for some as he's lingering on the inside. 3 wide into turn.
No!
Impact Johnson, as well as others involved. We stay green as cars are scattering around. No one is spotted. Oh, no! Boom Brady! Huge wreck! More cars involved. Rocky Boyd as well.
That was almost okay. They almost got out of that all right, but man, a lot happened very quickly, and man, that 20 went for a ride. I just went back and saw it. That 20 car went for one heck of a ride. The 29 almost had that save. Nick Radar almost was the savior, but tough break.
As we'll say here on, This is looking from Bro Brady's point of view. Seth Harrelson made contact and just got clipped. Almost got through, losing the front bumper, and more cars coming in with carnage. The 19 was involved as well, as Bo Brady gets into Rocky Boyd again after the incident. But man, Anthony, that was a hard hit for a lot of drivers.
That was not at all any sense of an escapable wreck. That was something that I think was inevitable. The way the 9 was driving, and I think the worst out of all of that's going to be the 9. That was a really violent flip. That's going to be his day over. Also, the way the 19 hit the inside wall, that wasn't okay. I don't think that might be it.
No, Gene Lake also late contact into Nick Radar there at the end. That's what we were on board with.
There's a lot of broken cars on the track right now. I think the 2 that got the worst, I think actually the 3 that got the worst out of that was going to be the 20, the 77, and the 19. They ended up with a lot of damage on their race cars. And
we're going to stay on board here with Randy Kokean in the 19 machine and see the contact that you were talking about.
Yeah, Randy, man, he took a really hard shot.
I mean, he had no idea that it was coming, too. I mean, he was just running, trying to go down low into Rocky Boyd, hard contact, then into the inside wall. And, the first initial was when they were 3 wide with Radar and as well as Johnson and the 9 machine of Hedges. And when they made their contact, that's what put Nick Radar into the wall. And then nowhere else for anyone else to really go there, as drivers are coming into their pit stalls now. Once we're done with pits here, we're actually going to be bringing in a driver that was involved in that first incident. His day is done, and bringing out our first caution. He got a different look of how this wreck went down. From his point of view, we're actually going to be bringing in Tom Bourne now, part of that 54 machine that saw his day end very quickly. Tom, it's Sam and Anthony up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, your day came to a kind of a disappointing end for yourself here in that first caution. What was your thoughts, though, on this second caution that just came out?
Honestly, I didn't see much of it. I was, still getting out of the car and everything. I mean, it just looked like a complete mess. People were just, it's new tires. They're trying to make their way through the guys with older tires. Tires were a big thing here. So, they were trying to make up spots as fast as they can. It looks like people just got a little too overzealous and, they wrecked.
Yeah, you had a really good run going. It was a simple mistake on the part of a driver that just went up and tagged the wall and came down in front of everybody else that took you out of contention. But knowing that you had a fast car, I mean, it's got to be disappointing anytime that you have something like that happen. But going into the rest of this race and even to the next race, how are you feeling? What's your mental state right now? Like, I know that you're disappointed. You have to be disappointed, but any takeaways from what's happened so far tonight?
I mean, just don't be around the incidents. I mean, there have been incidents everywhere. Last week, got caught up in one, not of my doing, and tonight I had no place to go. And, that's how it is. But it's racing, so we'll go get them next week at Richmond. Not sure how I'm going to do there, but we'll find out.
That's Tom Bourne in the 54 machine. Good luck next week at Richmond. No, tonight did not go the way you wanted it to.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Anthony, as we're getting set up here for these drivers to reset, I mean, that last wreck, I think Tom said exactly what everyone else was thinking. A lot of drivers aggressive, trying to gain as much as they can, and this is another chance to gain a lot of positions with some cars in the back half coming into the pits, as Tyler Riggs did.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for these drivers. Not really sure what's the situation at the moment.
Restart here, green flag back in the air.
All right, I was saying that because the 88 was slow on through the turn, so I didn't know if they were going green this lap or they were going around one more time. But we are back green, and another good jump for the 25. I want to make a quick note on something. The whole track right now is under cloud cover, so it's a very different condition that we saw a few laps ago. So the track conditions are going to be a little bit more grippy for these drivers as the sun isn't baking on the track at the moment. It looks like that the single file restart has really benefited a few drivers, namely back here. It looks like that Dallas Myhand has been able to make up some positions or make up some ground. He kind of needed to be in a good position to really feel out what his car can do. But everyone right now kind of running their own race. I think that was a much better restart than what happened earlier, and certainly a lot of drivers finding their footing. Joseph Kazi actually looking to pull into a battle with Blaine Atkin.
Yeah, Kazi going to be trying to run up onto the 05 machine. And looking back, that was Jeff Green that was just on our screen back in 8th place. He's making a charge forward. Other cars watching out for, as Christopher Morse Jr. is going to be under fire by the 5 machine of AJ here. Interesting just to continue to look back. It looks like Jason Hounshell might have gotten into the wall as he drops back and now under fire from Tyler Riggs.
And Jason Hounshell not really going the right direction. There's a car that's on the apron right now. I didn't see that. That was someone on the apron.
It's going to be Shane Lake, who just came out of the pits after getting repairs done to that 81 machine and going to be able to get out of the way of everyone else. His car still side-by-side action. This is for 11th place between, I believe this is Ernest King and Steinmiller that are side-by-side.
Yeah, they are running still side-by-side. This is a byproduct of what was happening behind the 00, but looks like Jason Hounshell has gotten back going the right direction and easily makes the pass to Steinmiller around the outside. And the outside line really starting to kick in as the track has gotten a lot grippier, as we've seen some drivers been able to make the pass up there more recently. He's actually got a really good run on the 00 at the moment, looking to try and advance his position, but notice the way he kind of like runs the middle of the back stretch, then arcs it out, tries to run it as far outside as he can before he hits the wall, and then arcs it into the turn. That's really the best way to go about it, as we just had Nick Radar retire from the race. So that's going to add to the official retiree count, is at the front of the field.
Blaine Atkin is dropping like a rock, as he's one of the first cars on the older tires, have not pitted yet, and you're seeing it now. He has dropped back from 2nd place all the way back to 4th place. Car and 2nd place, though. That's going to be Christopher Morse Jr. that just got by Kazi. And now Kazi trying to stay close to the 3. But we're seeing Christopher Morse Jr., fresh tires, really making a charge here, coming to the end of, coming to the middle part of this race.
Yeah, he is definitely making those fresh tires work, and that is really the difference. We were wondering what the difference was, and we're seeing it right now. He's come up from a long way back. Now trying to take the lead down to didn't try and make a move yet, but he's got the speed. I would imagine that by the time we get to turn 1, we're going to see side by side, if not before then. To the inside goes the 3, trying to make it work, trying to make it stick. Looks like he's going to have the advantage going into the 2. We'll have to see if he can carry that momentum.
As they're still side by side here, and just like that, Christopher Morse Jr., who looked like he was almost involved in our 2nd caution of the day, is able to continue moving forward and now going to be in the lead. Other cars that are making passes and moving up. You just saw on our telemetry, Tyler Riggs in that 26 machine. He's making moves, getting by Dallas Myhan. And now Jeff Green is trying to get by here, Blaine Atkin, and as well Tyler Riggs. Thinking about making maybe a pass on both these drivers coming into 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of battle going on right now between these drivers. Riggs to the inside, trying to make the move on Atkin, as Atkin is continuing to go the wrong way. Green now following suit back there. It looks like that Myhan might be trying to make this, like you said, he's trying to make this work, but it looks like it's going to be relatively easy to make this pass down on the inside. To the inside now goes Green. He's making a pretty good recovery. I think these drivers have no, he's got a little bit of damage to the back end. I thought that he might have had a...
Yeah, there's no fast pairs in this series. That was in the 87 series rule set where there was fast repairs. But moving to the Grand National Series for these drivers, no fast repairs, 3 tires that these drivers can work with. As we're seeing Tyler Riggs continue to move forward. Another one of those drivers that was on the fresher tires, and he's doing a great job here. Another driver that's moving up quick, that's going to be the 55 machine of AJ DeMarzo, who's going to be trying to make as many moves forward as he can, as now he's caught up to the 8 of Kazi, and Kazi's a part of the 3 drivers that have not pitted yet. That's going to be Gerald Campbell, Kazi, as well as Blaine Atkin. Those 3 drivers have not pitted at all this race, and you're seeing them just drop off like a rock at this point.
Yeah, and that's not good news. If you were wondering if there was going to be another quick yellow to come out, I think that they were almost betting that there was going to be another quick yellow, that they were able to keep their track position, but that did not happen for these drivers. Now on track, the 5 is now put alongside of the 8. give the third place at the line to DeMarzo, but going into turn 1, we've seen that Causey's got a pretty good car on the outside line, not able to do it, but able to get the momentum. Does he have momentum? Can he do a cross? He's still there. This battle isn't over yet. The 8 now trying to cross back to the inside, go down the backstretch, but DeMarzo had the run coming out of turn 2, able to hold on to it.
Drivers that were caught up in regular instances, we're going to drop back to this battle for an 8th place, where you got Blaine Atkin, who's trying to slow down cars, and we might be seeing some 3-wide action out of 4, as it's Kyle Johnson, Anthony Canary, as well as Blaine Atkin, that were almost 3-wide there.
Yeah, we saw what happened the last time that they went 3-wide. I don't think they really want to go 3-wide again, as the 16 really gets to the inside of the 05. That could have been disastrous for the 05, but looks like Graneri at the last possible second pulled out of it, knowing that that was a bad move to make. But now he's going to set his sights, try to get back up there. Battle in front going on right now between the 88, the 02, and the 41 in a few laps time. 88 of Johnson goes to the inside of Jake Houndshell. Give that spot to the 88 going into turn number 1 on the run into turn 1. Now going through turn 1 at the moment. Still side by side for this lead. Or not the lead, but for 7th place.
Yeah, and then behind them, Graneri was able to make that pass on Atkin, as they'll be moving forward as the car's slow on the backstretch. No, it's on the turn number 2, as that's going to be Ernest King who goes around.
And that's going to bring out our 3rd yellow of the night. So, coming down to lap 45 is when we're going to see it. And man, that is bad news if you're Christopher Morse. He had everything going his way.
This is a tough one to see, as it's going to be seeing the 63 and the 24 making contact, entering turn number 1. It might be a little bit inside of turn number 1, as King gets into Steinmiller. Into the wall goes Steinmiller, able to keep going straight. King did not, hitting the inside wall and try to get going again, and that's what brings out our caution here today.
It's just something that we saw it happen earlier with the 2 drivers that were battling just before between the 88 and the 05. That was one of those that we were wondering, or sorry, the 02. I'm sorry, the 16 and the 02. But that is a similar situation, and that time it did not pay out for those drivers as the 24 goes in. And man, that, again, hard racing, you know that you need to make up positions, but sometimes you just misgauge where another driver is, and he looked like he might have been loose and a little uncomfortable going into turn 1, and I don't know if...
Yeah, I mean, the 24 car just looks like it plowed straight up into the corner, struggled to turn it all, and you just saw there Steinmiller, nowhere to go. His car is now into the pits. Leading that way is going to be Gerald Campbell, with Blaine Atkin following suit. Causey gets a great launch out of his pit road box, but not able to get by the 25 machine, excuse me. And a lot of other machines coming into the pits, but up front, that's going to be Christopher Morris Jr., and then you've got DeMarzo, and then you've also got Riggs and Green and Kyle Johnson, your top 5. Right now, I believe Tyler Riggs would have the fastest tires in our top 5, but then back in 10th place, that's where we see Gerald Campbell. We've already seen, with having clean and fresh tires, you can make some very bold moves with some of the cars in front of Gerald Campbell being kind of heavily damaged at the moment.
Yeah, you got one of them very prevalent being Jeff Green, a lot of rear end damage on the back end. Robert Hedges, who is not exactly in the most fantastic spot with how his car's been handling tonight. He's one of the main reasons why we had our 2nd yellow. He's going to be starting in front of these guys. So Campbell's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get back up to the lead of the race. It's not going to be easy for him.
No, it really isn't going to be easy. As drivers like you notified, you talked about Nick Radar, Bo Brady, Tom Bourne, and Jordan Owens, the drivers that DNF'd and are out of this race. Everyone else is in pit road trying to get repairs done and get back out on track. We have a total of 20 drivers on the lead lap. 2 drivers that are a lap down. It's going to be Shane Lake as well as Rocky Boyd. Rocky Boyd is going to be coming into the pits trying to get as many repairs done. We'll try to get back out there. Ernest King and Randy Kokine as well in the pits trying to get repairs done, as well as Hank Steinmiller, who just pulled in. But up front, it's the 3 and the 55 and the 26 and the 2, your 2 front rows.
Yeah, it's going to be those drivers trying to get away. Christopher Morse had a really good run going through that last green flag that we had, so I think he's going to try and do the same that he did, although The 5 is right with him now. We saw that he had some speed, so I don't know if this is going to be clean for Morse, but he's going to have to try his hardest to get away from the 5. Riggs has put together a fast car in the 26. He was making some passes before the yellow came out, so he's going to be fast. Not really sure about Jeff Green. Green is going to be a question mark, as it looks like they might be doubling up for this restart. I don't know if that's a smart idea, but nonetheless, you're going to do it.
We'll wait and see for sure. As the cars that are heavily damaged up front, that's going to be Jeff Green, Kyle Johnson. Also, Anthony Graneri was involved in a first wreck. He's got some rear end issues that try to get repairs done for. And then also Robert Hedges, the drivers in the top 10 that have damage and kind of have to keep our eyes out on. But really, it's going to be Gerald Campbell in 7th, going to be starting on the high side. I'm interested to see how quick Gerald Campbell can cut through this field with having 22-lap fresher tires than the rest of the field himself.
Yeah, we saw just how fast he was when he was able to save tires, even on a green flag run when everyone started with the same amount of tire, where he was able to cut through the field after saving, I think, about 5 or 6 laps tires. And now he's got the fresh ones, like you said. Pace trucks coming off. What can they do? What can the 25 do? He's only got a few cars to make up. Green flag's out. Morse got a great start from that restart, but Tyler Riggs is got an even better start. He's gotten onto the inside of the 5, and the 5 goes down to block Graneri. That could have been bad, but now it looks like they're kind of stacking up back there. I think there's a lot of fast drivers that really need to go. They're going to go 3 wide, possibly even 4 wide, and the 25 tries to make it work. I don't like the way this looks going through turn 3, still battling side by side, but they were able to hold on to it. That was intense for a couple of moments.
Yeah, that was a lot of Kyle Johnson, Blaine Atkin trying to make some very bold moves. Blaine Atkin, who's been notorious for making bold moves on restarts, fresh tires. He's going to be the first car with the freshest ones, able to pass both Kyle Johnson and Gerald Campbell there in that corner.
Yeah, he put a whale of a run going through there, and now he's going to continue his strike. Going now, trying to get around Graneri is going to be the 05. Going to try and make something work to the inside of the 16. Easily to the inside. He's got the freshest tires, able to put his car wherever he wants to. Gonna set his sights on the 5 as soon as he makes the pass on the still side by side going down the front stretch. But yeah, here comes the 25 also. Now knowing that this is gonna get down to crunch time. There's not a whole lot left in this race. We're just over halfway. So now they're setting up for their final run to the finish. You've seen these lap times go by quickly. They know they have to make runs where they need to make them count. But so far, Morse, Riggs, and been able to keep this lead. Here comes the 05. Quick work of the 5. Now sets the sights on Riggs.
Yeah, AJ really didn't have anything to do there for Blaine Atkin. Gerald Campbell now going to be trying to make the pass here on the 16, and will do so. Following suit is going to be Jake Hounshell, as well as Kazi going to be following. Trying to make as many passes as quick as possible. Jeff Green, who we were talking about being up front and around 5th position, has dropped all the way back to 12th place at the moment, continuing to lose spots. But right now, all the clustering that's going on for around 8th place is kind of getting nerve-wracking with Graneri in a very similar spot. Thought we were about to see deja vu with him getting into the outside wall.
Yeah, he was right along the racer's edge running up there, but was able to hold on to it. Now he's going to be bypassed by the 88, who's on fresher tires as well. Kyle Johnson trying to get himself back up to the front of the field. We saw him up there earlier, still trying to struggle with that 88. That car does not look like it's anywhere happy where he wants it to be, but still trying to make the most of it. He gets washed up. The 33 came in very quickly. I thought he was going to run into him, but he didn't. That was scary.
That's the closing speed that you can really have, and the speed you can carry through the corners with fresh tires. That's the major advantage, is the fact that the center of the corner and exit with fresh tires, you can just carry so much speed out compared to these older tires. And behind these guys, you got Jeff Green, as well as Seth Harrelson and Hank Steinmiller, that were all scattered on top of one another.
Atkins just took the lead of the race, too. We're talking about closing speed. He closed all the way down the back straightaway. Now is the decisive leader of the race, crossing the line about a 3-car length advantage, still in the green, although you know that Morse doesn't want him to go away. He's got a fast car, just so much older tires. It's now Morse is on 31-lap-old tires. Atkins only on 9-lap-old tires. So big difference there. Riggs in a similar position to Morse. Gerald Campbell now making his way through. He's kind of trying to gap himself away from the 0-2 of Houndshell, who is going to be right with him still. That's another driver with fresh tires. The 8's another driver with fresh tires. So now we've seen a momentum shift with these drivers, and that right now, drivers that stayed out are banking on another yellow to come out. I don't know if they can make it all the way on fuel.
It's fuel, as well as I don't know if tires can make it to the end. I think both of those are factors to watch out for. I believe the tires would wear out before fuel does for these machines, as drivers that are continuing to drop back. As I believe we're seeing Kyle Johnson, he's back now to 12th place, about to drop back to 13th. Jeff Green back to 14th place. But I mean, it's been wild for sure with these drivers. As I'm keeping my eye out on Campbell, who continuously is running similar lap times as the drivers on older tires. And I think he might be saving, while Blaine Atkin is thinking, I need to gap as much as I can at this moment.
Yeah, and he's not really doing that at the moment because Morse and Riggs have been able to keep with him. That being said, Riggs is about to be under fire from Campbell. Campbell, I think, is, like you said, doing something that he was doing earlier in the race. They're actually going to have to try and get around this lap machine of the 77, who, it's kind of staying on a decent line, although not really running the back markers line at the moment. But still, the fact that that car is still running after what happened earlier in the race is a miracle in and of itself. So there's a never quit attitude in the 77 camp for Rocky Boyd, and I can respect that. As right now, Campbell got the third place position over Riggs. Now he's going to set his sights on Morse. There's really no competition there. So the real question is it going to become a battle between Campbell and Atkin in the late stages?
Yeah, I think that's really the battle that's going to be building up, as right now Campbell about a second and a half off of Blaine Atkin at the moment. But we saw there on our first stint, I mean, after about 20 laps, that's when Campbell came back, and he was running down Blaine Atkin like it was easy, and expecting it to continue that way, as we're still watching this battle here for fourth place, with Tyler Riggs trying to hold off four hard-charging cars of Kazi, Houndshell, and Myhan that are just ready to make a pass here on this 26, but Tyler Riggs making it way more difficult than it really should be at times.
Yeah, Riggs doesn't want to lose too many positions, because if this does go into the long green flag run when they get to the next cycle of stops, he wants to be able to be right back up with these guys if it comes down to that. So, yeah, you got to run hard. You got to make it hard to passes. Speaking of pass, here goes Campbell to make the pass on the 3 of Morse, so give that position back to the 25. So that's something else that's going to happen right now. Is I'm impressed with how fast that Morse has been able to run in keeping up with these guys. He's actually put himself in a position where now drivers back are behind him, like Kazi, Myhan, and the following behind him are now trying to catch up to the 25, make this a much larger fight for the second place position, even though there's a mixed bag of tire strategies going on right now.
Yeah, it's really a difference. I mean, you got Christopher Marsh Jr. on older tires than what Tyler Riggs was on, who's now dropped back to 7th place. As now Christopher Morse Jr. going to be under fire here by Kazi, Myhan, and Houndshell. And, oh boy, almost some contact there with the rear quarter panel to the 3 from Kazi up to Morris Jr., as now we're starting to see more battling again. I mean, this was exactly what was going on with Tyler Riggs, being stuck on the high side, and all the cars with fresher tires really just trying to figure out what is the fastest way to get around them.
Trying to figure it out is the hardest part, because some of these drivers haven't been around each other at all throughout this race, and now all of a sudden they find themselves running right next to each other, trying to figure out where they can put their car to best find where their car feels comfortable, because again, they all run the same setup, so it's really about where the driver feels comfortable running at. Right now, Blaine Atkin feeling really comfortable running up in the lead of the race. That's kind of checked out over Campbell. Now battle underneath of Morse. That's Houndshell going through the pass. He's bringing Myhan with him in the 41. Give credit to Dallas Myhan. We've seen him pretty much all over the racetrack since the start of the race, now finding himself up in the top 5 position. So what a rebound for the 41 team.
Yeah, really has been trying to come back and run well, and Dallas Myhan trying to run down Jake Houndshell. As you see that bright yellow machine trying to do his best here, running in right now 5th place for Myhan, as they're trying to catch up to Kazi, and Kazi was trying to run and catch up to Campbell, but everyone's going to stay in the similar spot of around about a half a second to everyone else. And then from our leader back to Campbell, that's about almost a second difference, as Campbell kind of starting to hit his groove, and Blaine Atkin, I think he might have used up all his stuff.
Yeah, Blaine Atkin was focusing about a lot, battling with some of the drivers trying to get to the lead of the race, and Campbell just seemed like he was taking them as they came. He didn't seem like he had any sense of urgency, and that was something we saw early in the race. He didn't really need to get up to the front of the field until really late in the run, and I think that Campbell has done a better job of saving his tires since the start of the restart. But now Kazi's been caught up by Jake Hounshaw. That was a really close situation. They were right up against each other. Still
Kazi in the wall. Kazi into the wall. Myhan to the apron. Myhan now going to be coming back up onto the track after passing the 8 machine. Kazi hard into the wall, and now it's going to drop all the way back to 7th place. As now this battle for 3rd place still lingers on. But man, that is not the way that you were hoping that this run was going to continue on, as the car is going to be dropping quick. I thought I saw my telemetry. As it is, it's going to be Anthony Gruneri into the pits.
So Gruneri's coming down pit road. That was a driver that was on a pretty long stint. I don't know if this is going to be a precursor to what these other drivers are going to do, but certainly raises concern for some of the drivers who might be on an off strategy to the other drivers. We'll have to see if Morse is one of those drivers that likes to come in pit road at some point in time, because he would be one of the first to do so based on how old his tires are. Another driver that might do that is Riggs, and DeMarzo would be another one that would come down, Jeff Green also. So we'll have to see if any of those drivers decide to come down pit road anytime soon. That might set the stage for how long these other drivers can go on a tire run. But still, give it credit to Morse. He hasn't been on pit road more than once so far. Came down pit road at the beginning when that first yellow came out. Hasn't been down there since. These are really old tires for him. As battle for the lead now brewing between Atkin and Campbell, as Campbell's been able to reel in the 05.
Yeah, now running about 0.2 faster than Blaine Atkin, and Campbell has finally hit his stride of following, like you said, waiting until the passes just came to him, and now going to be trying to make a pass here for the lead within a 10th, now within 2 tenths, trying to set up this pass coming out of turn number 4. Here comes Gerald Campbell on Blaine Atkin onto the inside.
What can Campbell do? Setting himself up, trying to get to the inside, and now finds himself trying to make the pass work, going down the front straightaway. Going to be alongside each other through turn 1. We've seen this situation a lot tonight with a lot of drivers, but looks like that Campbell's going to have the momentum coming out of turn 2 in order to get the job done, and he does. Give the lead of the race back to Jared Campbell.
Yeah, something we've seen all race long. The passing zone is entering turn number 1. We really haven't seen too many drivers trying to make a pass entering turn number 3. It's either exiting out of 4 or entering turn number 1 when you initiate these passes.
Yeah, and that's more or less because you're carrying the momentum from the previous turn, but now we're seeing a swap. We're seeing that Atkin is now taking the fight back to Campbell, not content with just letting him get away, and you know that you never want to lose the lead of the race no matter how fast the guy behind you is, so now he's going to try to mirror what Campbell's doing in order to run faster last. But don't look now, he's got Jake Hounshaw, Dallas Myhan, and John Wittendorf. Where did he come from in the 33, now running in 5th place? What a run for the 33.
John Weindorf, he crashed during qualifying, had to start all the way in the back. And we saw him a couple of times really closing quick on the drivers that were on older tires. And he has just been slowly, methodically pushing his way forward. Right now, that last time by, fastest car on track would be Jake Hounshaw in 3rd place. But then it would go Dallas Myhan, then Gerald Campbell, and then John Weitendorf would be the 4th fastest.
Yeah, that is pretty significant when you consider where all these drivers are running at the moment. But now Atkin falling into the clutches of the 02. As we've seen Jake Hounshaw just be on a tear as of late, trying to make the pass done. Weitendorf almost looked like he had a run, but didn't quite take it to Myhan. I think they're kind of content to run back behind them at the moment, seeing what happens in front. But now here comes Hounshaw on Atkin, looking to make the pass go through turn 3. Just a little bit of a slide, had to get off the throttle, but they're going to be side by side going down the front straightaway as the cars just come down pit road. That's the 81 of Shane Lake, so it's probably coming in to get more damage to place. We'll stay on this battle for a second.
Morse Jr. into the pits now.
And that is the window. So it looks like it was about 50 laps. So these drivers looking to get there before they come down pit road again.
Well, doing the math, and if 50 laps is the window, I mean, Campbell's going to have to come in. Is there going to be 3 wide? Rocky Boyd going to be forcing our leaders, our front 2 up, as Houndshell and Atkins somehow get past, as that was a very nerve-wracking situation for 2nd and 3rd place.
That was a wicked save by the 77. I didn't think he was going to hold on to it, but he did. Now this battle for 2nd, not over yet. Atkins trying to cross over. Oh, there's a bobble and a save by the 05. He got a little bit of contact, was able to hold on to it coming out of turn 2. I'm shocked he was able to hold on to it. He got run over by Whitendorf. Then he got into the back end of Houndshell. What a move by Atkins. Give that man some credit.
Blaine Atkins somehow able to hold on strong, but Whitendorf was the victim of that, able to drop back. Now dropping back here for the battle for 6th place, as it's looking like Tyler Riggs was under fire by Seth Harrelson, as Rocky Boyd might have got a little loose, almost got involved with Jason Houndshell back here for 9th place.
Yeah, they're looking to try and get around the 77. He's not running a very fast car at the moment. That car has been beaten around a lot this race, trying to just salvage anything he can. Running 21st right now. That's the worst he can do, is 21st. So even if he parked the car now, he'd still be able to hold on to the 21st position. But the way these drivers have been racing, you never know. You might be able to leapfrog over somebody, but if you get within 15 laps, that's how far behind he is to the leader. It's looking more and more unlikely that he's going to improve his position, but still a never quit attitude out of Rocky Boyd. And back to the front, it's all Campbell at the moment, and everyone is kind of settled out. They'd said, okay, we raced quite a bit. I think it's time to settle down just a little bit.
I mean, you say that, but Dallas Myhan is right on the back bumper of that 05 of Blaine Atkin. Also, we talked about lap 50 might be the window. Some of these cars in the back have actually gone able to go 54 laps. And so that makes it feel a little bit more comfortable, and now showing that our front drivers can make it to the end as this battle for 3rd place continues on.
Battle for 3rd between Atkin and the 41. The 24 is slow. Not sure why the 24 is that slow, but he's going to be right in front of this battle for 3rd place. Got to get to the outside line of the racetrack. Does so. And now that's brought the 33 back into the mix. So now it's a 3-car fight for 3rd place. And man, if I was Whitendorf, I would be cautious. We saw what happened the last time these drivers got close together. Does he try a bold move again? We'll have to see and find out. But right now, holding back, running in 5th place.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see lap traffic be influencing some of these battles that are going on. I mean, Rocky Boyd, he had to make an amazing save, but kind of pushed up a couple of drivers. And then also right there, the 24 of King almost making contact with some of these front runners. But yeah, I mean, Christopher Morse Jr. might be thinking, due to the fact that they were running so much faster than the back half of the field, maybe they were using more fuel and feeling like he needed to pit and he just could not make it. But he was out there for so long, could not make it to the end though.
No, couldn't do it. There was a certain point where you couldn't, and as much as you wanted to make it so that it wasn't that case, and it's hard being a
puff of smoke, and I believe that was Rocky Boyd. We're going to take a quick replay to figure out what happened to Rocky Boyd, who I think might have hit the wall. No, he got loose out of 4 and made an amazing save out of 3 and 4.
Wow, yeah, this car is not doing very well at the moment. Like we said, it's really a poorly right at the moment. Oh, he's still having problems. He almost lost it through turn 3 going into 4. As I'm looking at the live feed right now, he's having a lot of drivers just trying to get around him at the moment. But Rocky, I don't know if I were him, I'd consider pulling down a pit road. It's gotten to the point where the car is almost undrivable, as he is very uncomfortable through these turns.
Also up front, we're seeing our front runners. You got Christopher Morse Jr. kind of boxed in. He might have to go 3 wide here if he wants to get by these front runners, and he is going to throw 3 wide on the outside, going past Blaine Atkin, and now he's going to be trying to get past here Dallas Myhan. And right now, the 3 machine is the first car 1 lap down, trying to lap himself the hard way.
Yeah, and that's going to be a long way to go if he's going to catch up to the leader. But given the amount of laps we have left, we're on lap 84 of 100. This race is closing in. We're going to come down to 16 laps to go very soon. Whoa, there was a little bit, it looked like there was a little bit of contact between the 33 and the 33 and the 05 going down the back straightaway. Didn't get that done, but it looks like the Atkin is so loose.
Might have been as he almost made contact there. So there was another puff of smoke, looking to see if anyone's running slow. I don't believe so. As Whitendorf on the inside, going to be trying to make the pass here. This would be for 4th place, as Whitendorf might have gotten it done here.
I think Whitendorf is going to have it done. That 05 of Atkin is looking really poorly at the moment. He's had a lot of near spins, and now the 33. I think that Whitendorf might be the faster car out of these two, because he's now going to try and reel in Myhan, who's trying to reel in Houndshell, who's trying to reel in Campbell. Campbell, I think, is in the best position possible, although he's gotten passed by the 3, who now gets onto the lead lap. So if there were to be a yellow happen, he does not have to rely on the free pass. He's able to have that position. So he's going to try and run down the field. He definitely does not have enough time to get back up to the front, barring a yellow. So I think that he's just trying to get the best position he can. But Campbell has been able to maintain a lead to Houndshell, so if everything goes smoothly, this is looking the best for the 25 at the moment.
And John Weindorf is now going to be trying to run down Dallas Myhan, and is doing so within now 2/10 of the 3rd place running 41 machine of Dallas Myhan, who tried his best to pull away, but Weindorf is not letting him go.
No, Weindorf not at all. He wants that position badly as he's arcing it into turn 3. The 33 might have a shot at the 41 in a few moments as he's really reeled in the gap. He's got a faster car down the front straightaway. He's got a toe off the 41, using the draft to his advantage. There's the lap car in front he might be able to use as a pick. So this is looking pretty good for the 33. This battle continues to rage on. Coming up to the lap machine, what can the 33 do in order to get around the 41? He's going to try down the backstretch.
Using the lap machine as a pick, a great move right there by John Weindorf. Going to be moving himself up to 3rd place, as now they got to figure out how to get by this lap machine in front of them. And, they're going to try their best. This is going to be, I believe, Jerry Parker, who we haven't really talked about all race long, was involved in an earlier wreck for this 37 machine, as he is now being passed by 3rd and 4th place. But, Anthony, these drivers have been putting on a show, that's for sure. But 12 laps to go, coming to 11 laps to go once Campbell crosses the line. I mean, some of these drivers are running out of time if they're going to be making a move and kind of waiting for a caution to come out.
Yeah, that's the case for a lot of these drivers, but don't look now. Houndshell is closing the gap on Campbell. It was 2.1 seconds a few laps ago, now down to 1.7 seconds. So the 02 is closing, trying to get a run through these turns, now down to 1.6. So I think he's timed this run pretty well. If he's been able to save some rubber for the end of the race, he might have a shot at going against the 25. But we always seem to see this happen with this style of car at the 1.5 miles. Think back to some famous battles at the end of races. Think back to, I think it was Johnson versus Edwards, I believe, that one of these tracks that was able to happen. So we could see a very similar situation if Jake Houndshell gets the run going. And Jared Campbell's got a lot of cars he's going to have to get around to pass. He's coming up to the 9, so he's going to have to find a way to get around him. This might impede his progress.
And the 9 car going to be ducking up to the high side, giving room as the 9 gets into the wall there. As Hedges is going to be able to get ducking it back onto the racing surface. But yeah, those are some nerve-wracking moments. Some cars that are really starting to pile up on top of one another. This is going to be the battle here for 7th place, where we're starting to see a lot of cars. You got Tyler Riggs, Jason Houndshell, Seth Harlson. They're all starting to group up here for, like I said, for this battle for 7th. And then also you've got the battle for 3rd place. That's kind of looking like that's going to John Weindorf. Looking at the times, though, that last time by, Gerald Campbell ran 2/10 faster, pushing it from 1.7 seconds to now 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, so Campbell realizing that he's being run down, he's kind of put on a little bit of an afterburner, trying to get away. 16 is now under fire. Actually, that's a lap car, so Granary is a lap car to the 26 on the 00. Keep an eye on this battle. But up at the front, Myhan still within striking distance of Weindorf. If he gets a good run, if he can find a way to slow down the 33. If the 33 has a bobble, if anything happens, if he has struggle getting around the 9 car, then this 41 might be in the best position. Oh, that was close, and now the 41 reeling in the 33. This battle isn't over yet.
I mean, that killed all the momentum Whitendorf had. And here goes Del Spyan on the inside. A power move by the 41.
What a send into turn 1. He's able to hold it alongside. I think that Whitendorf around the outside might have the run. They're still side by side now. Clears the 41, so my hand back into 3rd place.
Yeah, talked about what if a slip up? What if it was a lap car that made a mistake? And now Whitendorf, with having clear space and now having a good run, he's on the back bumper of the 41 machine.
And this battle for 3rd place is going to continue to go on to the outside. Goes to 33. Can he get the run on the outside done? We've seen it happen before early in the race. He's got the momentum around the outside. Goes to 33 of Whitendorf. He's got the position at the moment, running right on the outside or against the wall. And he's going to take back the position on the outside through 2 and 3. I'm sorry, 1 and 2.
As we're coming to 5 laps to go, it's Gerald Campbell, 1.5 seconds, and it's diminishing because he might have grazed the wall, losing time, as here comes Jake Houndshell within 1.4 seconds.
Houndshell smells blood in the water. He knows he wants to get back up there. It's down to 1.5 seconds as the battle between 3rd place hasn't gone away yet as they're still battling back there. But now the battle for the lead is closing up. Campbell's got a few lap cars he's going to have to deal with very soon, one being the 55. So if that's the case, then this might be not over yet, as I think the 55's pulled off the track, so not a problem for the 25. But now Houndshell still held back to 1.5 seconds. I don't know if he's got enough time.
No, it doesn't look like it. It's going back and forth so much. But this battle here for 3rd place, Dallas Mayhem back to the inside as Whitendorf might have used up too much of his stuff. As I say that, he fights back on the outside.
The car seems to be better on the outside is Whitendorf. He's going to have the run going down the backstretch yet again. Looks like the 41's going to arc it back out, trying to set that move up again. We've seen him try it several times. What can he do this time? He's going to set it up going down the front straightaway. I think they might be side by side going to turn 1 again. Look at the run! Oh, it's the 30! And now the 41 around. He's going to get the position done.
And just like that, Whitendorf, that was looking like one of the fastest cars out on track, scrubs the wall very hard, and now is going to be losing time. He's got 3 laps to try to fight back to this 41 machine, but was there too much damage done? As we move back up front, it's going to be Gerald Campbell with 1.7 seconds, and really it's growing since he started, coming to 2 laps to go, I believe, once he crosses the line.
2 laps to go for Jared Campbell. He's got to hold on for just 2 more rotations. Jake Houndshell not close enough to really put any pressure on him, but you know Campbell's got to be perfect. We've seen little bobbles really make or break something for these drivers, and right now he's just hoping. He's focused right now. He has to maintain perfect throughout the rest of the race. Through 3 and 4 they go. Coming down, white flag in the air. Jared Campbell's got 1 more. He's got to be perfect. 1 more lap.
White flag in the air here at the Richmar Florist 150, presented by the Juice Box Podcast. Go check them out on all podcast platforms. But the white flag's in the air. Gerald Campbell with 2.3 seconds, and it continues to grow as that battle for the lead nowhere to be seen. Gerald Campbell is looking for his first win here in the G-Force Grand National Series.
Out of turn 4, final time through the middle of the track. He could coast to the finish. Jared Campbell goes amazing run to cross the line. He wins here at Charlotte, and a fantastic run, being able to hold on. And I think he was on the edge of his fuel. You see him bobbing down the front straightaway. He slowed down a lot coming out of turn 4, but man, what a fantastic run. Jake Houndshell comes away 2nd place, and Dallas Myhan able to hold off Whitendorf for 3rd place. Fantastic finish for the 25. He did everything that he needed to do, was able to get into the lead. He had the best tire strategy. Overall, best race that he could have had for.
Gerald Campbell in that 25 machine, getting a little bit of a love tap there from Jake Houndshell. And Campbell looking good in that DuPont 25 machine, able to get the win here at Charlotte for the Richmar Florist 150. Burning it down here in front of the crowd, and really dominating fashion. Once you saw what was going on, Blaine Atkin tried the strategy of go fast, get as much of a big gap as possible. It didn't work. Gerald Campbell went with the save tires until you needed them at the end, and it worked flawlessly as he pulled away from Jake Hounshell that looked like he was closing in, but I think Gerald Campbell might have been playing a possum.
Yeah, and Campbell knew what he was doing. That's a wise move on the part of the 25. He knew that he could save tires, have it when he needed it. Knowing that drivers were going to use up their stuff early on, was able to save it for when it absolutely was necessary, and able to really, after that third caution, he was able to really use it to his advantage and was able to use the fresh tires and get around everybody because he had the set that he could have used. So, and again, a wise driver, a fantastic strategy on the part, but don't give any discredit to Jake Hounshell, who really we didn't consider being in the position he is at the finish of the race. And Dallas Myhan certainly didn't think he was going to be up as far as he was, because he's been all over the place this race. And give credit to the 33 and Atkin just holding on for 5th place. But man, again, a great strategy move call by the 25 team.
Yeah, we'll go down the rest of the top 10. You got Joseph Causey, Jason Hounshell, Tyler Rick, Seth Harrelson, and James Roth. Gotta say, though, Jake Hounshell, 2 weeks in a row, and it's going to be 2 top 2s. That's 0-2 machine looking and lingering for the win here this season. Maybe it'll be next week at Richmond. The rest of the cars here from 11th through 20th, you got Christopher Morris Jr., Hank Steinmiller are going to be the last cars on your lead lap for your top 12. Then you went Anthony Gurneri, Robert Hedges, you've got King, Green, Johnson, Parker, and then you also got AJ and Lake. The rest of the field, I do not believe we're able to finish out this race. Rocky Boyd tried to coast his way through, and the rest of the drivers from 22nd down to 28th were not able to finish out this race. But Anthony, it was a wild race for sure. We'll get right back to the racing and to interviews in the post-race show, but we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back for interviews.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
And we are back to the G-Force Grand National Series, where you got to see Gerald Campbell get the win. As drivers are getting set up for interviews, we're going to be bringing in Dallas Myhan into the booth. Dallas, it's Sam and Anthony in the booth. You got us?
Yes, I do, guys.
I mean, that was probably one of the craziest last 20 laps for yourself. You were battling around a lot of machines, but a top 3 finish for yourself. How was it for you, though, in the cockpit?
At one point, it was a bit of a challenge on tire wear. I knew before the first caution, I knew how to save tires with these cars. Like, these cars eat up tires a lot, no matter what track you're on. And I noticed that these guys were wasting the tires early in the run, and I knew I'd keep it at least to lap 50 on these tires just to make any kind of chance at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, it was a hard run for sure. Some of those accidents that came out, though, they were massive, bringing everyone close up. But that last caution that came out, it really gave a chance for you guys to come into the pits. Was there any chance of you guys not having enough fuel to make it to the end?
No, I knew that with these cars, you can make at least. I think it's like 65 laps on a fuel run, and the last caution of the race came out. I think it was lap 45, I believe. So I wasn't really too worried about the fuel mileage race.
Now that battle that you had with Weitendorf at the end of the race was something special, and it really came down to Weitendorf getting into the wall a little bit and you were able to capitalize on that and was able to hold off. And what was battling with Weitendorf at the end of the race like? Because that came down to whether or not you got a third place, a top 3 tonight, and it was able to look like you were able to put your car wherever you needed to.
Yeah, I mean it was fine late in the run with this car, but once you get underneath somebody, unless you have a nice run on them, it's really tough to pass them. And I mean, we and John, while earlier in the race, we were battling Blaine to pass him, which didn't hurt our tires, which it did, but it was just a matter of who makes the less mistakes in the end of the race, and I made the less mistake and passed him.
Well, Dallas, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys again for broadcasting this race. Chris putting up this series, G4 Sim Racing. I think my team, Evo Sim Sport, my sponsor, Seth Thrall Designs, Raise Energy, Boosted. It was fun tonight to finish third, and hope to bring the momentum for next week at Richmond.
Well, that's Dallas Myhan in the 41 machine getting a third place finish here at Richmond. Hopefully we'll be talking to you next week here at Charlotte, excuse me. We're going to be going to Richmond next week. Hopefully we'll be talking to you then.
Thank you guys. See you next week.
And really excited to see where some of these drivers are going to be finding themselves, Anthony, moving forward. But Jake Hounshell just came up a little bit short. Jake, it's Sam and Anthony up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, go ahead, guys.
I mean, that was a crazy end of this race. You were trying your best to run down that 25 machine of Gerald Campbell, but came up a little bit short. Was there anything else you might have been able to do there to try to run that car down?
I was doing everything I possibly could. I could have made a little bit less mistakes. I think I got it sideways a couple of times off too, but other than that, that was pretty much it. I think we were both on the same tire strategy, so he just got through the field quicker. I think I may have used up mine tires getting through the field, so he deserved that one.
Yeah, I mean, Jake, we saw that drivers had to go through the field when you got those fresh tires, had a lot of traffic to get past. How was it on that last restart trying to get past everyone to when you got to second place?
It was a little, I would say it was frustrating. It was actually kind of fun. These cars are so much fun to drive, almost just like the 87s. They hang the ass end out, they're loose. It's a lot of fun. So coming through the field was challenging, but it was still pretty awesome.
Now, you've been second twice so far this season. First in Nashville, now at Charlotte. Next time we're going to be at Richmond. I know that you don't want to stay second forever. So how confident are you going into Richmond that you might be able to pull out a win? Because you've had consistently fast cars, and tonight you had to come through the field to do it. So if you can get a good qualifying run for Richmond, there might be a good shot we could be talking to you as the winner of the race.
Possibly. I do okay at Richmond. My brother's a little bit better there than I am, but I think that if we get some practice laps in, we can find something that works. But I have a pretty good shot at Richmond, I'm sure.
Well, Jake, it was a great run for yourself, just coming up a little bit short there at the end. But the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Nah, man, thanks FRN for putting this on, man. Your broadcasts are excellent. Any of my friends that are watching, thanks for watching.
That's Jake Hounshell coming up second in that 0-2 machine. We'll see if he can finally break it and get the win instead of getting second place all the time. Have a great rest of your day there, Jake. Hopefully we'll talk to you next week at Richmond.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And now we're going to talk to the man that got the pole, got it done. We're going to talk to Gerald Campbell in a second here as we finally found him in our booth. Gerald, it's Sam and Anthony. You got us?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, you got the pole, and then you just carried that forward, but we kind of saw your strategy was to save tires the whole entire time. Was there at any moment that you were thinking, I need to push now, or was it always save tires until I have to go at the end?
That makes the difference between being able to pull this off and then not keeping to the strategy, and then you're just in the wrong whole accordion effect where you went too hard or you saved and then went too hard. You just got to run your times. You got to just you got to set a time marker, and then you just got to run that, and don't let anyone else try to affect the strategy. And that was kind of my goal going in, was, just don't let anyone affect the strategy. If they got inside of you or whatever, let them go. But try not to lose too many positions in the same in the same sentence. But it worked out. It had that long green flag run, which just kind of played into my into the wheelhouse that I was going with. Didn't expect it to go there. I was kind of like Chase Elliott, going, all right, when's this caution coming out? I know it's coming. But we made it all the way to the end on this last set, and I think I had tires to go for quite a while after that. I was just kind of just making sure I didn't do what Blaine did last week and spin out on the last lap. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we saw that you had to pass a few lap cars there during the end of this race. How was it trying to get by some of those lap machines?
A lot of those guys are, it's some of their first, series, I guess they would run with. Some of them are fairly new to iRacing, and they'll get it. Everyone gets it eventually. So, you just gotta, try to be predictable for the leader. And some of them were really good at that. Some of them were not as good at that. But you just got to keep at it. And luckily, they switched over the caution system to manual, so it allowed some of those people to learn from their mistakes instead of just lining back up if they spun out, no big deal. So it kind of was like a learning session. They hopefully they get better at the end of the season. So it was good. It was a lot of good clean racing going up through the field, at least for me and the people I was passing. And there was a couple hairy moments with some lap cars, but other than that, like I said, it was it all ended well for me, I guess.
Yeah, it certainly did. You were able to put your car wherever you needed to at the end of the race in order to make get the job done when it mattered the most. And next week, I want to ask you this: do you think you can carry the momentum you took from this race going into next week at Richmond? Because we saw you be as far back as 7th place at one point in this race and still be able to make your way up through the field. Again, being able to put your car where you needed to in order to get things done, and then go back into your strategy of just saving when you can. But we're going to a very different track next week at Richmond, which is going to be a little bit of a different strategy going forward. But I think you can carry some of the same mindset that you had in this race going into the next one. And do you think that there's a shot we could see the 25 back into victory lane?
That's an interesting question, because Richmond, I always have a very hard time trying to save things. I just end up going way too hard just because it's a very aggressive kind of a track. You can definitely burn up tires just getting on the gas too hard or going in just a little bit too deep. I do expect to be running pretty fast times there. The situation comes down to is if I'm going to be able to save the tires or not. So that's a good question. I don't actually feel like I'm that great in these cars. These are probably one of my weaker cars, I would have thought. But 87 cars were what I was originally thinking were some of my best runs with these things. I'm just going to try to go out there and see what I can do. Again, hopefully I can have the mindset. But each racetrack, each scenario is a little different. We don't know what would have played out. I know Blake had some very fast short run speeds, and if caution came out, even with him being back 4th or 5th place, I know that he could have easily gotten around and battled. So you never know what you're going to have. So you got to have that mindset that you got to go out and do what you got to do to get it. And my main thing is go out. I don't care about points. I go out for a win, and I go out to try to make things interesting, both from the broadcast side and the racing side of things. So, I go out and do what I have to do out there, and we'll see. I like Richmond. I like almost every track. They all have their own challenges, so we'll just see what it brings, and hopefully we can get this beautiful DuPont car up front again.
Well, that's Gerald Campbell in the 25 machine. Before we let you go, Gerald, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, thanks PRM, my teams. I got Joseph Causey in there, and I got Tyler Riggs, and they were all up front for a while there. Thanks. I always do a shout out for VFW. VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars. I know you guys do. I very much appreciate that. Whenever you see a veteran, you go out and you thank them. It doesn't matter what kind of holiday it is. It doesn't matter what kind of day or setting or anything. If you see a person that served your country, regardless of whatever reasons, you go out there and you make sure you thank them. I'm going to be going out this weekend actually and volunteering with the VFW to do a beer sale ride to raise some money for the VFW for our local town. So you just go, if you ever have anything that you need to stop and give to the local VFW, they will go about giving those over to any vets in need. There's always vets in need that need some loving help. That is always a good thing to give to someone that gave so much for everybody else. So yeah, just other than that, guys, you guys just keep doing you, and can't wait for the next one. I enjoy these things.
Well, that's Gerald Campbell in the 25 machine getting the win here at Charlotte. Good luck at Richmond next week. Hopefully we'll be talking to you then.
I hope you guys be talking a lot about it.
And now, Anthony, as we're starting to wind down, this race, it had a lot of carnage for the first half, and then it started to cool off, had a long green flag run to end this thing out, and really it was tires that won this race for Gerald Campbell.
It was. He was able to work the tire strategy in the way that he needed to. We're kind of wondering why he was falling back so much at the beginning of the race, and then all of a sudden, he's back battling for the lead of the race, and then it dawned on me that was by design. And then he explained that it was completely on purpose, being able to, like he said, save tires when he needed to, and that way he could use it when he absolutely had to use them. And battling around through the field after that last caution, we thought that he might have used up a lot of his tires, but he was able to stay consistent because a lot of the drivers that were running second and third place also had to use their tires to get through other cars that hadn't pitted and were trying to work through it. But I'll tell you somebody who got the short end of the stick tonight, and that was Christopher Morse. He was one of those drivers that was banking on there being another yellow at the second half of the race, did not get it, only finishes the day in 11th place. But you got to be sure that by the time we head to Richmond, he's going to be on fire trying to get back to the front.
Yeah, no, for sure. Christopher Morse Jr. is going to be someone to watch out for to make a run back. Also, some other drivers that were back here. Rocky Boyd, he's going to try to make a comeback, as well as Kyle Johnson, who had a great run. But I think the driver that everyone is going to keep their eyes out on every single week, that's Jeff Green, who finished a lap down back in 16th place, was involved in our second caution of the day, and really did not have the car to have a great run. So we'll keep our eyes out on that. But here at Charlotte, it was Gerald Campbell that gets the win in that 25 machine. And I think we're going to expect to see Gerald continuing to have good runs throughout the season. But Anthony, thanks for being up in the booth with me again.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Sam, and I really like doing these older cars with you because it just brings out a totally different kind of racing that we're used to seeing now, and with the modern cars and the way that the tracks are now. So it's really nice to have a little bit of a blast to the past and get to watch some proper racing every now and again.
Yeah, it really is always fun to watch these ARCA cars, and that's honestly what G-Force does. They bring out some of the best racing action. It was the 87 cars before, now it's the ARCA ones. Here and today at Charlotte for the Richmar Florist 150. It was Gerald Campbell in that 25 machine getting it done. Again, presentation, and thank you for the sponsors by Juicebox Podcast. Go watch them. They put out great content on their sides. For us at the Flatout Racing Network, more racing throughout the week. Tomorrow night, it's going to be the SARG Super Speedway Series, where they're going to be seeing who's making it to playoffs, the last race in the regular season at Daytona. Thursday night, we get to crown a championship for the Fuel R/Racetrack Designs IndyCar Series at Homestead. We get to see if it's going to be Riley Thompson or Jason Barofi. Also, we got on the NR side on Thursday, you've got the RTG Talladega Challenge. Then on Saturday night, we are going to crown another champion for the FTF Grand National Series. They're going to be at Phoenix, 4 drivers hunting for the gold. But here tonight, Anthony, thank you again. And for myself, Sam Dyer, for Anthony McCurry, you got to watch another Flatout Racing Network broadcast here, and we'll be seeing you all next week at Richmond.